calling to order the Town of Kensington Town Council meeting for Wednesday, July 15th. Okay. We'll have a moment of silence. Is there anything anyone wants to bring up? I'll just, I don't know if everybody knows my daughter, Caitlin, she moved to Newport News, Virginia, so she's closer to home. But around just before Father's Day weekend, she fell and broke her foot. So she has had to have surgery. She has been couch bound since then, and but hopes in 2 weeks that she can get a boot so she can give up her scooter and put pressure. So it's been very difficult. She's, had the move. She's starting a new job and having now to go in later because of the foot. So I'd appreciate for her to get through it, but hopefully in the next 2 weeks she'll get that boot on and she can start getting back. Fortunately, the house they rented is on one level, so that was very, very good. So anyway, so please keep her in your thoughts and prayers. Okay, can we bow our heads for a moment? Okay, thank you very much. Council, you received the meeting minutes from Susan for the town council meeting for June 4th. I think I only saw Anne, you made a couple of notes. I'm fine with those. I do like what you talked about on the second point, which is the AI. One of the new hire that we don't have a date yet for the start, but one of the things I've asked Matt is that she really get into AI. And so I'm hoping that will help us in getting minutes out earlier, as well as the what you suggested about the summary reports. So I think that's a good idea. So, but if we can get to approve.
I have one. I said one minor edit when I was reading them again after Stuart sent his.
Okay.
Sorry,
yes,
I just caught it. I didn't.
Yes.
Sorry.
I did see Stuart's. Go ahead.
Yeah. So sorry. So on Stuart's, it was down below. Let me just find out. It's the second on page of the regular meeting minutes. Sorry, of the whole document, it's 2, 3, 4. So it's, sorry, I'm just trying to find the page numbers. Can I have it open? It's not coming up with page numbers. I think it's page 3. It says Councilmember Engel noted the importance of using a longer flood plain period.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
It should be flood. What should it be? Flood year, I guess. The flood. It's not the flood plain period. It's the
flood year interval or something.
Yeah, I forget what it is. I'm blanking on it. I should know it. The flood return period. The return period. Yeah.
Term period. You want
return period.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a minor thing. It just didn't make sense the way it was written. Sorry.
Okay.
Caught it the second time I read it.
Susan, do you have that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right, good. Anything else? No? Okay, well, if I can get a motion to approve the June 4th with the changes from Anne, Nate, and Stuart.
I'll move to approve the June 4th meeting minutes with as amended.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. On the closed session, you did receive the documents on that. We are going to just approve tonight the public meeting minutes. Sue Ellen had, you saw a draft, and Sue Ellen has made some edits which you've not received. So we will send those out and approve those at the September meeting. But tonight we're just going to approve the public meeting minutes for the June 4th closed session. Is there a motion?
Sure, I'll move
that we approve the public meeting minutes for the closed session on June 4th, 2026.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. And staff will send out the confidential minutes from that Sue Ellen sent earlier this afternoon, or it was late afternoon, so we just missed it. Okay, we'll get that out to you. All right, let's continue on. So, Matt, do you want to do the acknowledgements for the auditing committee?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. We'd like to acknowledge the reappointments of Jeff Capron, Leslie Olson, and Carrie Thompson to the auditing committee for a one-year term.
Okay. Is there any questions? Okay. Can we get a motion? Or I guess we're just acknowledging. You don't need a motion to do it. Okay. So we're just acknowledging it. Okay. Okay. Number 2.
Council, the mayor, council member Angle, and I believe it was, I don't think their name was listed. We met with Montgomery County Public Schools administrative
Nate
staff.
wasn't on that one. It was just
He
you.
wasn't on that one. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yes.
Mayor Furman and I met with Montgomery County Public Schools administrative team, and they provided us an update that they are planning to move into the existing or previous HOC property. They're planning to move about 100 administrative positions into that location. They also did note to us that they may have up to 12 students that will be on location. These are students up to the age of 21 that will be on site as well. We also confirmed with them the inlet parking spaces in front of the HOC are within the town's right of way. So we will go ahead and clean up that signage. And if there's plans to regulate them, we can send that over to the MTC.
Okay. And the they did say that the community use of public facilities for the gym should be back online in September. And we did not mention the field, but that goes through, I think you said, Nate, that goes through parks. That's not community use or MIA.
It goes through Active Montgomery, and it's currently listed as an available park for.
It is. Okay, good.
Yes.
So that's available. Okay. We are going to go ahead, Nate.
I was just gonna say I saw them. I don't know if you saw Tracy within the last week. They're doing some work to the exterior there, so they're making some improvements to the building too.
They're painting the exterior. It's been a lot of work going on this week. They did bring up a big commercial open dumpster to get all the stuff out that's been out in the back, and so we will be meeting with them again, asking them to hold another meeting, and we will be including Nate will be joining us on that next meeting, so we can discuss the backside, the park, how it will continue. MCPS did not realize that they thought parks maintain that area, and so they were a little shocked that no, they can they maintain it. So we're just trying to work out some details on how that's going to make sure that continues on. I
think Connor will join too, right, Connor?
Oh, Connor,
Yeah.
you're on that
Yeah,
too.
we'll do it with the MCPS liaison. A quick question just for
Yes.
clarification on the agenda. So of the administrative positions moving in and the students, are they both coming in September?
Yes. Well, no, the that
Staff is moving in sooner?
They're coming in July. So she had said
Yeah.
mid-July. So they may be
Okay.
a bit behind, but so they will be moving in soon. That's why
Yep.
there's a lot of work going on right now. There's quite a few people on site. So yes, that was incorrect. Students, if you're wondering, well, why do they coming up to age 21? If you have children with disabilities, they can stay within the MCPS umbrella through 21. So they did mention one bus.
That's what I was going to, and we can bring it up in that meeting. That's what I was curious about is transportation and then how they will access the building, like what their circulation pattern will be and times of day, just so that we have some sense of how they're accessing it, and if it's 7:15, is it 9:15, etc.
Yeah, because we do have Kensington Parkwood's pickup is right in front of the building or close to
Mhm.
between the parking lot and the so that's where they're picked up. So
Are they anticipating anybody like teleworking a couple days a week, or are these folks expected to be there all
I
day,
don't think
every day?
so. They're bringing them from 3 different locations. She said Spring Mill, Limbrook, and Hadley, which I don't know where any of those locations are. But they're all coming here. They expect, I don't know whether 100 people mean 100 cars. There is quite a bit of parking in the back, and there's parking in the front on both sides. So there's quite a bit of parking. And they had no issue during the day, workday. They had issue with sharing parking, but no issue at night and on weekend. So that wasn't a problem for them. It does make it hard, and Nate would know this on soccer practice when they started, around 4. It's parking.
Yeah, usually 4 or 5.
Yeah, it can be a bit of a challenge. So anyway,
Tracy, to that question though, do we know how many employees were at the HOC at the within the last year before they started winding down?
I don't know the number. There always seemed to be a lot of parking available though, and because they had a lot of satellite offices, and so no, but I don't know the number. But parking was never an issue over there, and they had a lot of HOC vehicles, local government type vehicles. So people would bring their private car, and then they have to go out on site. They would be driving either a van or a HOC car. So, but there was never parking. I don't think you experienced any on Baltimore.
No, but I'm asking because remember there was that issue where they just illegally put in more parking space. They made an additional parking lot.
Right.
That everyone was upset about
without
asking.
Not needing it at that particular time, they were taking up a lot of parking on the streets. I know that started the need for being permit parking on Baltimore, but they seem to have adjusted, and because they do have, as I said, satellite offices all over, and I think they probably were doing some people at home.
Okay, but we can ask about the parking too.
Yeah, but that parking, as you know, was taken up, so they did take that up before they, which they said they would do, and they did. So,
the other question I have is those folks are going to want to go get lunch and stuff and walk across that busy road. Do you think we need to like flag for them that that's a super dangerous intersection? They should definitely not try to walk, or I guess walk down and then around and then up. I don't know, maybe that's on them to figure out. But they're gonna more people getting lunch and stuff for those businesses, which is good.
Yeah, they're actually very excited that there are nearby.
Yeah.
So that was something that was brought up. They're very excited about that.
Oh, good.
When we talked to them, we could, pretty encourage them to use the lights at Summit and the lights at Connecticut. But we're still having problems with people in Silver Creek who walk out their door and cross 4 lanes of traffic. I don't know why.
To kind of piggyback on Councilmember Sparker's comment, though, I think it'd be a great opportunity the next time we meet with them if we have any of our Explore Kensington list of businesses, list of restaurants, if we have anything in print that we could leave for the building, so that to make sure that they are aware that there's this stuff right at Kensington Shopping Center, but there's now the crossroads at Kensington, there's getting into the historic business district, right? There's making them aware for those who maybe haven't been in Kensington as often of all of the kinds of things available to them.
Well, we did suggest, going to Explore Kensington would help out a lot, all that information, but, we can always send them the QR code that we have set up, and I can have Carrie Ann maybe do a little flyer and that we could email to them that they can send to the employees that will be there.
Great.
Yeah.
If you are thinking that we would have Carrie Ann create something, that's something that I had talked to Kensington Can about. So I think there's a lot of interest. We should check with them if she mocks something up.
Okay, I mean, we actually have something like that. It just maybe they're not being distributed as much as they should be. So maybe we could just have little cards that could be passed out to the businesses too. That people
Thing.
it's okay. Um so Matt, are we able to, I'd like to be able to set up a meeting before I have too many scrap pieces of paper here. Before August 15th, if possible. That would be good. And Nate, we would be doing it on Zoom, so if you're going out of town again, we should be able to do it that way. Connor's
Yeah.
leaving the country, so we can be a little harder for him. So, okay, good. All right, thank you very much. All right, any questions for the number 2 from the audience? Okay, number 3, Matt.
Thank you, Mayor. Staff inquired to the council on the actual sale of 3420 Pliers Mill Road. We had discussed previously how we would actually market the property for sale, and we would like to continue that conversation for direction this evening.
Do you have
For the
options?
record,
Yeah.
yeah, for the record, we included in the staff report to the council the original appraisal of the property. We also provided a potential building envelope of the site. If you have any questions.
Yeah, Matt, I do. The appraisal is dated January of 2023. Given, other properties that the town has had appraised more than once, do we think property values or appraised values may have changed significantly from this appraisal to where we may want to consider getting a secondary or an updated appraisal?
I think it would be appropriate to bring this forward. It is 3+ years old, so.
Do we have like a business that we can or like a point of contact that we can already plug into for an appraisal, or could we leverage somebody that we know to help get that going? And then second question on that is like, what's the timeline for something like that? Is this like a couple weeks, do you think, or is this a month? How long does it take to usually get an appraisal like that? It's a pretty detailed report. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, so we could.
I was just gonna say, I would think that the appraiser that did the other one could just update that to confirm that information. I don't think we have to start from scratch. I don't know what, Matt, you wanted to suggest, but that seems to make more sense.
That's what I was going to suggest is if we want to bring the existing one forward, we'd have to talk with John. My guess is it would probably be 4 to 6 weeks at the most. It's just a reevaluation of a property he's already done a significant amount of homework on.
Connor, are you talking? Or are you because you're muted?
I'm muted. What I was going to say is I'd recommend then, since we are planning to take an August recess, that it would be a good time. I'd like to direct Matt to go out and ask John Lansbury, I think it is, to update this one, bring it up to date, and if possible, to be able to meet our September meeting timeline. I think that gives them roughly 7 weeks. So, in which case, then we could bring the updated appraisal for the property back into the agenda for September.
And at that point, would it also make sense then to discuss the options for how you intend to list it? I know I care about making sure it's publicly known on the MLS or other listings, but I know there are different ways that we might effectuate a sale. So I'd like to have like a walkthrough of all of the proposed steps.
Sue Ellen, is that something you feel like you could give that kind of information? I mean, we know about the listing part. I think it's not very expensive to do that.
As we had discussed, a realtor is useful for certain services if you need them, and they do charge for their services. To transfer property, you will have to adopt an ordinance, and which you have done, and then you have to have that approved, mandatory referral, which has also happened. So the next part is that a contract of sale would be developed, which, this is not a residential sale in the usual sense. You're not buying a house. There's any number of restrictions that are placed on the sale of residential properties with houses because of an interest in protecting homeowners. You don't have that here. This would be purchased by someone who's going to be obviously developing the lot. So it's different. It's more like a commercial transaction in that way. So what's required is the contract of sale, and then the getting the word out, which is what the MLIS is. And having looked at that, that's something that can be, you can list on the MLIS for a certain price without having to retain a realtor. And there, of course, there are buyers, realtors out there who will be interested in looking for properties that are coming on the market in Kensington that will be paid for by potential buyers, not by the town then. So you will get a listing. And you can always, if you don't think the interest is broad enough, if you don't think the information has been being broadly enough disseminated, you can always rethink this. But we're thinking that with the buyers, brokers out there, and with being listed in MLIS, and of course all the internet information that's available now too, that would be a sufficient advertisement of the fact that the lot is for sale. If you have the bringing forward of the appraisal, you don't need a realtor to tell you what they think the property is worth. You'll have that. And so then you just have to go to settlement, which is done through a title company in any event. So, and the deed is prepared by the title attorney, not by the realtor. So the realtor is by and large involved in kind of knowing the market and also getting the word out. And you are taking steps to cover those two bases. So that was the discussion that was staff's thinking on this with respect to whether or what steps you need to take and who you have to hire.
And so, Sue Ellen, my memory as it serves is we can't self-list, but we could use a company that will list it on the MLS, as you said. And there are companies that will do that for a flat fee. There's somewhere between $100 to $200 to maybe $500 or $600. So right. I think we could get a couple of quotes between now and our September meeting.
Yes.
And Matt, I'm happy to help with this as well. But I think just for the council's review and consideration is to be able to present them with a couple of different quotes from different companies that would be able to do a flat fee MLS listing.
So how exactly, if we come back if we get an updated appraisal, we come back in September, it's just a matter of saying, let's get it listed and just, that's it? I mean,
yes.
do we need to, okay.
You've taken all the legislative actions that you need to take to be able to put it up for sale.
Okay.
So the next thing that would have to happen is to enter into a contract of sale. If you have a buyer that you determine is acceptable, and that would be approved in a public meeting, and then it would go to settlement by whatever date is set in the contract of sale.
Okay.
Sue Ellen, in the period from we get it listed, offers come in, we are looking to put it under contract. Is there a requirement for a, like a public notice period or anything that, meaning it can go under contract, but is there anything that any time span that it has to be out there in the public?
No, the only time frame that applies by state law is the 20-day period that is required before you adopt an ordinance to sell a property. Okay, so you've already done all that.
And is there any sort of mandatory referral for disposal of property?
We've done that.
It's already done.
You've already been through that.
Yeah. There's a lot of properties. I was just making sure. So
there are a lot of them this past year. That's true. So this has already been accomplished. As I said, all the legislative steps that you have taken to be able to put this property on the market and sell it. The only additional legislative step, those have been done except one, which is approval of a contract of sale.
And if you bring, like, let's say you get 4 bids on it, is that done publicly as well? Or is a recommendation come that we want B? B has the best, they want the most, are giving the most money or buying it for the most money.
It would be like anything else that someone would bid on for the town.
Okay.
You'll get a recommendation from staff because obviously there are differences in offers that are made. Some of them are cash, some of them are contingent. It wouldn't surprise me if a developer wanted to buy it, that they might come in with a contingent offer, as you've seen when other developers are buying properties in the town. It's contingent on getting zoning approvals of one kind or another. They may want a variance or something. So then you can decide which is in the best interest of the town at the time.
Okay.
One more question, Sue Ellen, to that point. If there are things that, you mentioned a variance, if we do not want to entertain variances on the property to anything, extending outside of the buildable envelope, is that, I presume, is something we would put as a condition on the listing so that it is known?
You would note that because it's going to be in any deed that you approve to, not any deed you approve, any deed that is, it would be in the contract of sale.
Yep.
And the contract of sale is going to govern what's in the deed. And if there's anything in particular you want to have in there. So
we don't need to talk about conditions now to put it on the market. It's not going in the listing, it's going in the contract if we did anything like that.
Well, if you're going to put limitations on the use, you should put that in the listing. That's only fair. You don't want to generate offers that are not responsive. So if you're going to limit to the footprint for the development, limit to single family home only, that type of thing, then that's something that you should put as part of the advertisement.
I feel like I remember, maybe Swell, you mentioned this in our session, but we did in the ordinance that we passed, like there was one requirement that was like, it was a single family home being built on that lot. Am I misremembering that?
No, I think you are correct.
It's part of the sale of that property. Okay.
Yeah. So that should carry through. It's very straightforward.
And I would think any of the other zoning that already applies to that as an R60 lot, right? If they want to propose a primary structure and an auxiliary dwelling unit, which is within the allowable code, would we permit that? So long as both exist within the buildable envelope. It would be maybe strange to do that, but are there any, thinking about it, especially because it's my backyard, right? So long as if they're following the height guidelines, if they're within the buildable envelope, if they're building that which is allowed within an R60, I think it's great. And again, if they wanted to do something like an ADU, okay, but again, has to conform to the zoning of the property and the lot lines of the property. And so long you can package it up so long as it is within the buildable envelope and the allowable lot lines of that property, which is a corner property with two front planes. So it has, slightly different setbacks.
And you know that obviously that law has been up for amending recently, but it currently stays the same. And Montgomery County already has an accessory dwelling unit law. So
Correct.
it's already there and allowed in that zone.
So then the only thing I'd put forward to the council for consideration is, and we've talked about this a little bit in the past, is not allowing a variance and stating that at the outset so that any bids that come in are aware that the town will not entertain variances that would allow for the structure to exceed or go past the buildable envelope. We've seen this with bay windows. We've seen this, this is a rectangular lot. The conditions are known. There's nothing, extraneous that, would thinking about our 3-part variance test. And I think if we just state that right now, so that anybody entertaining the idea of bidding on this knows that, to Sue Ellen's point, they know this, and therefore they are informed and can, bid appropriately.
Yeah, I support that.
Any other thoughts, Dan or Nick?
I support it. I was actually just trying to look back at our minutes coming out of that meeting when we voted on Joseph Park to see if there are any other conditions that we had discussed. Let's make sure that we look back at that to make sure there wasn't anything else. 'Cause I thought there was maybe one or two.
The only thing I remember that I raised was the like, could we put like restrictions on maintaining the character of the style of home or something, so it's not like a super modern house that gets built, or that would look totally out of character from all the houses around it, which tend to be colonial type homes, or stuff like that. So those, I think I definitely remember raising that too.
Yeah, I don't think the county does that. Usually
Yeah.
style, and it's not something they get into.
And we might be able to just weigh that, like when we get bids, if we get builders that say, "Oh, I would build this kind of home," we're like, "Oh yeah, that might be," we weigh. I would weigh that a little differently, comparatively. It's not my backyard, but I drive past it like 16 times a day, getting my kids to all their practices. So,
I think we could probably write the listing in such a way, Stuart, that puts an emphasis that this is what we're looking for. But I'd be concerned about trying to say it has, because it's like, it's style.
subjectivity.
And we see this in the DRB all the time, that we ask people what Kensington's architectural style is. We get 7 different answers, and everybody's answer, they'll point to another one and say, that's not it. My house backs up to it, as do my neighbors. That's in the historic district. But as you know, if the other side of the street in Wheatley, there's like 3 different styles, from capes to slightly more modern. We've got, it would be hard, I think, to do that. But I think the way we write the listing is influential to express our views.
Yeah. So, okay.
Mayor,
we got to get the approval. Go ahead, Sue Ellen. Yes.
I have looked back at the ordinance, and the restriction that's placed by the ordinance is that should be sold consistent with current zoning to support a public purpose, and acquire other real property. So all the wording that was placed was consistent with current zoning.
Can I just note though that Anne, in her statement, suggested that it'd be contingent upon obtaining green space first. I don't know if that's, obviously it's not in the ordinance, I don't think. You just read it, but I'm reading the notes here.
We talked about that. We also talked about the trees more recently, even after the ordinance was approved. And I was trying to look at the aerial picture. We had discussed potentially being able to note one of the trees needing to remain, but I can't remember exactly where it was outside the lot, and or state that there would need to be planting of new shade trees and that we have programs available through the municipality and the county to assist with that. Something to that effect, but I also want to go back through notes. And I totally acknowledge that that was not in the ordinance, but I think it's in the interests of the town, and I feel like it's the kind of thing that we could work into the listing.
That would be in a contract of sale, any limitations you wanted to place for that, of that nature for one thing. And if, it would depend on what type of requirement it was. If it's something that you want to continue on down the chain of title, it would have to be in the deed also. And then, it would, as I said earlier, it would be appropriate to put any kind of restrictions like that you want as part of the contract of sale in your advertisement, so it's not a surprise to people. So you're not getting offers that are not realistic in terms of what they intend to do.
Matt or Sue Ellen, who will be drafting the advertisement / listing?
I was gonna request John Lansbury to draft one that Sue Ellen could review for us.
So these kind of restrictions would be helpful to bring out now. I mean, the two I've heard is, and maybe I don't know if we have to take motions on them, but I would prefer that there be no variances. And to Ann's, I think, that any trees removed need to be replaced through our tree program, like either replanted on site or contributed to the town's tree fund, right? If we'd prefer it to be planted on site, but if for whatever reason they can't accommodate new trees, we still want trees within our tree canopy. And so the backup would be that they need to fund the equivalent number of trees into our tree fund.
Yeah, I was actually thinking more about the site itself. Again, wanted to kind of look back at documents that Matt had prepared before. Because I just can't recall without looking at them what's actually outside the buildable envelope.
So just to clarify, because I know the building envelope might be a little confusing if you're not into development. So that is not the footprint of the house. What that is what where the footprint can be located with the setbacks. There's a 35% coverage for the entire lot. So obviously, that's larger than 35%. So if you look at the lot as a whole, you can basically cover a third of it with a dwelling unit and accessory structures and anything like that. But the building envelope is where that dwelling unit can be placed within that envelope. So it's actually going to be smaller than what that is. As a condition of the permits, it is very easy for us to say, if you remove a tree, you have to plant a tree on site. You'll notice from the aerial view with the building envelope that we provided to you, there is some room specifically on the Wheatley side that would allow for replantings. Probably pliers as well, although I'm not entirely sure, but at least on the Wheatley side, there's definitely some room for some plantings from the developer or whoever builds the house.
Yeah, I don't see the tree part as an issue. I think that would be, most people are gonna, most developers do add a few trees, maybe not the ones we want, but I think we can guide them on the trees that we would prefer and the caliber with the help of our tree funding. So,
Yeah, Mayor, we can just put it as a conditional on the permit that they would be required to plant. And we've never had pushback from anyone previously with that request.
Yeah. All right. Well, it sounds like you, Ann and Nate and Stuart and Connor, if you guys want to go back and look at some other things and bring those to the attention of staff that you have concerns about, let's do that sooner than later. Matt, you're going to go ahead and reach out to Mr. Lansbury about updating the proposal or the appraisal, and then possibly adding to write a description of the lot and its capability, and we can all review that. Does that sound fair enough?
Yeah, with the expected, that'll be September on the
Yeah, I
September
mean, if we
agenda.
have whatever we have ready, we can forward to the council.
Terrific.
They can ask
Yep.
questions, and then we'll bring it back publicly in the September meeting. So, you know, if there are things that you remember from the previous meetings, go ahead and look back and just bring those to Matt's attention, and then we can see how we can fit that in. And Sue Ellen will obviously work with Matt on that. Okay.
Just to throw something out there, I don't even know if this is feasible, but because I think we have a vested interest in this particular property as a town to make sure it's done right. Would it be even technically feasible to ask them, or would we want to do a requirement or a condition that they have to take it before the DRB? Just so we get a sense of, there's a lot of questions here. We want to make sure that they're doing it right. I think there's sensitivities of this property being sold. I don't know if it's probably the most appropriate mechanism, but do we want to be reviewing? Do we want to have an option to review it? Obviously, we don't have the zoning authority, but
Oddly, Nate, I would say I'd push back a little. Just one, thinking about how the DRB operates, but two, we don't require that of any other home when it's built or remodeled.
Sure. No, I get that. I know the premise here is that it's selling our land to build a home. We don't have another situation.
I was going to make another comment, and I don't know your feelings, but I live in a historic property in the county. When I wanted to do stuff, I had to go before the Historic Preservation Commission, and it was an awful experience inviting 8 other people to be pseudo architects or pseudo engineers, and it cost me considerable money and time to entertain a board that had 8 different viewpoints of what my house should look like. And I just don't know if that's necessary I get it. Trust me, I'm looking at the map, I'm looking at it, I'm looking at my house, and I'm going to be staring at this thing every day once it's built. But I also don't know whether or not that's something that we are equipped to do, nor that's necessary. That, I think it's a good idea. Like I like the discussion of it, but I just don't think, I think it's something we should.
Yeah, no, I just want to put it out there because everyone obviously has a lot of opinions about this.
I think that could be more, and if you have 3 or 4 people that are bidding on it and you feel more comfortable with a particular builder and the style, obviously they've probably done other houses within the area, and you could just, see what they've done, and, but everybody has their own taste. I mean,
yeah, that's exactly what I mean, because if we get multiple proposals, how are we going to vet them? That's what I mean, like putting this issue before the DRB. Who is put together to vet those?
Well, typically your vetting would be who's bidding on the most, because that's usually, what you're looking at first. This person wants to give you, $500,000. This guy only wants to give you $350,000, but he might build a better house that you like. So I'm not, it's, those two. To that point, I think we're going to have to consider. I don't think we could do that sitting here tonight.
Mayor, Sue Ellen's hands up.
Oh, Sue Ellen, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I thought it would be important to understand exactly where you would go with that in any event. The DRB is used in a different way, and the town doesn't have the zoning authority in any event. So the final decision gets made elsewhere. Having the DRB make recommendations and requiring a builder to go to them when there's no zoning requirements otherwise, you are asking them to do another hurdle that they normally wouldn't have to do, and that can be discouraging in terms of buying at times too. Trying to regulate what something looks like does get mostly bodies don't try to do that. Zoning bodies don't try to do that because of the difficulty in, as the mayor said, in deciding what looks good. So every restriction you place on a property can reduce the price you're going to get for it because they have to evaluate going through another procedure and what it's going to cost them. That's just a point to make so that if you were inclined to require some kind of additional review, that it be very clearly described as to what it would result in, if anything, other than just a suggestion.
Yeah, if I may add to that, Sue Ellen, at least the way the DRB is set up currently, the DRB is solely set up to give recommendation to the council. And so it would be two layers. It would be a review at the DRB, and then DRB making recommendations to the council. And then what is our position? We would, as a council, we'd vote to not accept somebody's architectural drawing. We don't have zoning authority. To your point, could it open us up to a lawsuit? Just thinking bigger picture.
Just putting that aside, because it just sounds like may not be practical, but I appreciate Nate's bringing it up. Nate also you asked the question about just wanting to confirm the process once bids come in. It sounded like, I'm trying to remember, Sue Ellen, from your description, staff evaluate them and they make a recommendation to the council. Is that likely how it would proceed?
Well, it is like any other thing that gets bid in a certain respect, because somebody has to put the bids together and help you understand whether they're apples to apples, what people are offering. And there are differences in how people make the offers too, as to whether they're cash or they're contingent, and there's a whole range of options that people might pick in putting their offer in, unless you say cash only. But then you can make those kinds of restrictions too. But at this point, I wouldn't do that.
I was thinking more of like understanding when, if you are going through a procurement process with a bid, you usually have a set of evaluation criteria. Should we provide some criteria to staff for when they're evaluating the bids? And, potentially that could mean asking staff to inquire with the bidder about their plans. But I realize even that can get murky.
I wouldn't put internal discussions about what criteria to use and how to apply them are fairly standard. Making them part of the request for the bid isn't, unless it's critical to being considered to be a reliable bidder, a bidder who has fully responded to what you want to hear from them about. So you may have your preferences, but that doesn't have to go in the offer unless, like I said, you decided you only wanted to take cash offers or something like that, because that's a prerequisite to even being able to bid. But certainly you can provide to staff what you'd like to see them inquire about, especially if what you're seeing isn't enough to inform you of everything you want to know about how things are planned to go.
Any other questions from the council? No. Does the audience have any questions? Okay. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and have the appraisal updated, and we'll start with that, and then have Mr. Lansbury consider writing a drafting the information about the house or the.
Should we just make that the scope for both, since we're asking him to do the appraisal, just ask him to write it as part of that task?
Yeah.
Just so we don't have to come back and do it later. And
no, that's why I'm asking for both at the same time.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And then we will come back to this in September. But if there are things that you think of, you go back, just send them to Matt and Sue Ellen. Just include Sue Ellen on that as well. Okay. All right. Okay, let's move on. Council, this is the opportunity to give some updated reports. Connor, you want to start?
Nothing really.
Okay.
I'll give a shout out to the crew as always. The end of the year squirt gun battle at our bus stop was another raging success. So I think it was, I'm going to guess Joe that went up and hooked up the fire hydrant and made it available. And I deeply appreciate it. It's become a really cool tradition. So as always, much appreciated.
I was shocked that a half day feels like a full day. What time does half day, the kids arrive home on a half day?
It's like 1:30. They have to serve lunch. That meets the state's requirement.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just thought, because I went over there like at noon and nobody was there. I was like,
yeah, I mean, they don't leave our bus stop until like 9:20.
Wow.
So, you know, it really is kind of a half day by the time they actually get there. The elementary schools are just they're late.
Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. Let's see, Stuart. I'm just gonna go down the line that I've got in my setup here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me get my notes up here. Two things from the PBAS. We got Walktober coming. And so we're going to start thinking about that. So just a heads up, Walktober will be here before you know it. It's mid-July. So we're thinking about that. We're going to talk about that next week. I got a plug for the traffic committee meeting on the 21st. So that's on the agenda. The other thing that's on the agenda is we got an email. Matt thankfully looped us in to an email from the gentleman from MTA to talk about the railroad crossing extension. And so we got them on the agenda. They're going to actually attend our meeting next week to solicit feedback from the community about the that railroad crossing there and the overpass that we're considering. So if you're interested in talking more about that, please attend the meeting next the 21st at 7:30. It will be by Zoom. I'm happy to share the Zoom link with anybody who wants to attend, but we're going to try to prime folks to show up and ready to talk about that. So yeah, those are the two things. And shout out to Anne for leading the community engagement on the parking task force. So I can pass the mic to her to talk about that next.
I have a quick question, Stuart. Is it a MTA or is it the consultant or both that are coming to the meeting next week?
It's the guy Will Rommel, who is the statewide planner for MTA.
Yep. Okay, great. And then
I don't think it's the parking one, if that's what you're asking.
Oh. No, they have a consultant that they hired for
okay.
doing that.
All right.
There's three of them. It's a guy named Will, a guy named Chad, who is from the consultancy, and Matt was the other one.
So Chad is with WRA Engineering. They're the engineering firm that are overseeing the rail crossing elimination. William Rommel is the director of transportation planning for MTA. He's the lead project engineer, and I don't have the email in front of me. I don't know who the third individual was.
Jennifer Moutenchoff.
She's a contractor. I can't remember exactly who she's with. She's a field engineer. I can't remember who she's with though.
It says jacobs.com is their email handle. So
okay.
Nate, I can forward you the tracks. Yeah.
Great. Other question real quick. SHA quarterly meeting. Do we get it on the calendar yet?
No, it was supposed to be the week of this week, and they ghosted me. So I need it. You guys are probably like, yeah, that's what they do. No,
we got t-shirts, Stuart. We got t-shirts. We'll get you.
Do I earn my t-shirt now finally?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
so
and they're gonna change out the staff member now too.
Oh, great.
I know, right?
Yeah.
You know what? It's worth following up with a call. Because remember the email issue we had with them?
Yeah.
It could be happening all over again.
Lovely. No, that's great.
I can confirm they are receiving our emails.
I just don't have the juice to get it done. So maybe I will call just to start to or send some flowers to their office or something. I don't know, flowers, probably donuts are probably more effective. But, I need to do something to get them to pay attention to us. But no, they ghosted us. So they said they'd get back to us with the dates and never did. So that's where we are.
Has it been a year since they were doing the study for James's for putting up that light? When is a year?
No, that
That
would have
was
been September, October.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
coming up on it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
We
they
need.
initiated this study in November.
Okay.
They said at that town hall that they did in, I think it was December that they did that. They were saying, "Look, it's a 9 month build," and like we are getting close to that. That's like 2 weeks.
That's what I want to keep
Yeah,
reminding them.
yeah,
Whenever we're
yeah.
getting close to that,
Yeah.
it's
I will. I'll take that for action and get that email out to them tonight. Just to check on that.
Thanks.
Yep, absolutely. That's all I have for this month, Mayor.
okay. Thank you. Anne, did you want to follow up with the task force?
Yes, I have a few different updates before we get to the task force. Maybe I'll end with that one. First, I just wanted to thank the town staff and the town for supporting our 5th annual Juneteenth celebration. We had a great turnout, a ton of civic groups. Because of an election year, we had a lot of local politicians there as well. Always good to have more electeds and potential electeds in our community. And I also want to give a special shout out to Albert and Melissa with Montgomery Municipal Cable because they won a National Hometown Media Award for their coverage of Kensington's Juneteenth event because of their excellent job, portraying a community event that had educational and civic engagement components. So it's a great opportunity to just really thank Melissa and Albert for all they do in our community, including, just this week, the community forum for the parking task force. So we're really lucky to have them being able to extend our reach. Also, just wanted to let you
And
know.
can I add to?
Yeah, please.
I was just going to add that the municipal cable also did a great job on the Maryland House and Garden pilgrimage. They did a video of that as well, and it was phenomenal. So they got a lot of people to interview, individuals, and it was great. I'll make sure that Carrie Ann so everybody sees that.
Great, thank you.
Sorry, I interrupted you, but I wanted to
No.
add this for them as well.
No, that's good. I am coordinating with Kensington House on a date for the back to school block party, which we usually do the weekend before school starts. So I'm trying to figure out if we could do it Saturday, August 22nd or Sunday, August 23rd. So Matt and Alex, I'll follow up with you on that.
Okay, Councilmember Lichter, if there were anyone that wanted to do the food like a few years ago, just let us know in advance so we can get the permitting.
Okay, I will inquire. Then on the Greenscape Committee, I'm wondering, Matt and Alex, if you have an update on Ernest Park.
I do. I have a very, very good update. The pavers have been acquired. They are supposed to be delivered Friday. The mason's supposed to start installing them sometime between Friday and next week. The new flagpoles are in delay through a manufacturing issue. We were told an additional 6 to 8 weeks on those, but the walk through and pavers should be installed within the next week. And then we'll proceed with the plantings in the fall once the weather's a little cooler.
How about the electrical? When will that come in? And once the
pavers are installed, they're going to do the electrical. They'll do the lighting. So the monument illumination, the flagpole illuminations, and there's illumination around the walkway that can be controlled and dimmed at night.
Okay. And the Public Works has already cleaned the memorial. They've got they did
Thought
work.
so. Okay. All right. Thank you for that update. I'll share that with the Greenscape Committee. All right. Parking Task Force. And Nate, I'm going to leave the Sustainable Kensington update for you, if that's all right. The Parking Task Force has been proceeding with the work with our parking management consultant, Walker Consulting. There were a few meetings with stakeholders in the community, including business representatives, representatives from congregations and schools to inform an understanding of the parking pressure and ideas and concerns. And then they've been out in the field collecting a lot of data. And we held the first of 2 community-wide forums this week on Monday night that was referenced earlier, where they presented the data from their field analysis and their initial work. So we are not at the stage yet of recommendations, but some highlights to share. And thank you, Matt, for including the slides in the council packet this evening. They were essentially examining during May and June, during Wednesdays and Saturdays, different times a day, what the occupancy and turnover is for parking in the town. They were also pulling together an inventory of all available parking spots. So I'm not going to go into all of the details, but what I will highlight is there were 2,900 spots that were uncovered in their inventory. Now, the majority of those, I think it was around 60%, are in private lots, but that still demonstrates that there is quite a bit of capacity and helps us pinpoint where the issues are with occupancy and turnover. In addition to doing this inventory, they measured occupancy rates, as I mentioned, at different points a day, and they did a license plate inventory also to capture data on turnover rates. What they're finding is that maybe system-wide we have capacity, anywhere from 30 to 50% averages of occupation, but there are hotspots, and the parking task force had highlighted for them particular hotspots, but the data really showed that there are a number of hotspots in town where occupancy goes north of 85%, which when you start to get into that terrain, that's where you encounter frustration. So those hotspots are in our popular commercial areas, near Johnson's, near Kensington Crossings, a few of our streets. I think they're really going to help us understand what we can do to manage and more effectively manage the parking assets. So we had pretty good turnout. We had about 20 some people on Zoom. We had about a dozen people in person. And now Walker's taking the next few weeks to really do more analysis and developing solutions. There were a couple of issues that were highlighted in the community forum that I've already talked with Stuart about making sure the parking task force follows up on. One we heard Connor mention earlier, which was bike parking. That actually came up, I think, technically at the conclusion of the forum, making sure that we've accounted for that. And we talked about it also at the Sustainable Kensington meeting last night. And I think there's interest in really thinking through that and can be a nice joint effort with PBAS as well. Also, we again got public comment and questions about parking for people with disabilities, which while we did get an inventory of ADA marked spaces, in previous conversations where this has been raised with the consultant, Walker's been pretty clear that if you want to get into recommendations on ADA parking, that requires a different, it's outside the scope of what we've engaged them to do. So we may need to follow up on that or figure out how far we can push within the scope of what we have, because I do think that's a really important issue. Stuart, Joe, and others on the task force have raised it before, and it came up again in the public forum. But to bring my long report on this to a finish, what I'll say in terms of next steps, I would like to propose, Stuart and I chatted briefly about this, that we have a working session with the parking task force, Walker, and town staff at the point that they have some proposed recommendations. Likely in August if they're ready, but we'll need to follow up, Matt, with you and with them after this meeting. And ideally, we'd be in a position to provide some initial findings and recommendations at the September council meeting. Their work was scoped to roughly go through September. So, Matt, I think we just need an overall status meeting with them on the deliverables and how we're proceeding. That would give time for further public discussion, town council discussion. I don't expect we'd be in a position yet to vote on anything in that first presentation. There might be more questions and more direction that needs to be provided. But it would be good to kind of plan out how we bring the recommendations forward. So I'll pause there and see if people have questions on that.
I don't have a question, but I really, the meeting was great. I think Nigel did a great job. I felt like he really did know the town, and he did his time. So I do appreciate his presentation. I thought it was excellent. It was really
Yeah, 44 miles he said he walked, which was
Yeah.
that's exceptional.
Yeah, he knew
That's
he
a
knew the
little town.
streets.
That's not
He could
fun.
refer to the streets better than some of us. I
Yeah.
think.
Did a good job. He really did.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, what I'd like to add is I'm to this point exceptionally pleased with how this parking study has gone. It has illuminated a lot of things that maybe weren't at the forefront. We've got ample parking spaces. It's just we've got a ton of hotspots, and there are things well within the town's reach of how to address that. So I'm really, and when coming out of your working session, I think I'm more excited about the fact that there's a lot of things we can do probably in short order to improve the parking strain, the stress points we have, both at time of day and location in town, relative, I don't want to say easily, but well within our immediate grasp. So I think that is, to me, what bubbled up from Nigel's presentation, which I echo the mayor's comments, was I'm a nerd for data. I found it. I mean, I loved it. I also was sitting in the front row and could read all the numbers. So,
Yeah, thank you, Connor. The solutions that came up during the public forum that are being explored by Walker are signage and wayfinding, shared parking agreements with privately owned lots, paid parking, and I would say enforcement. Might not have been on their slide, but he was pretty adamant that any system to be worthwhile needs an adequate enforcement.
and with that, because I talked with Nigel a little bit afterwards, and I think he'll probably put it into the report, but the different types of enforcement, right? From highly manual to far more automated, and things the town might be able to do to, with right now we have one official code enforcement staff member, tools that we can equip Annie with, and other things to, bring our code enforcement, at least the parking aspect of it, kind of up to today's technical standards.
Thank you. Anything else on that? I do have one more thing to bring up. Okay, my one more thing is related to the M&T lot. And Matt, I don't know if there are updates on the timing, but I have a request. Things are looking a little rough over there, and I don't know if there's some maintenance we can do on the greenery, or even posting a sign that explains to people that we need to go through an abatement process, that we're planning to, remove the building and renovate this space for public access and use with a general timeline, because it's starting to look not very good in the center of our town, and people are wondering.
Well, I know the crew has been over there at least once this summer to clean it up. They probably need to go back. It's probably time again to go back.
Yeah, and also the area around the building itself, the other side of the street that is not under our control near the kiosk. I guess they're no longer maintaining that.
Yeah, the M&T still owns it, so they're obligated to maintain it. So we might need to give them a call, Matt, to remind them, that they have to maintain the building since they own it. But our staff, Public Works can go back over there and do another round of cleanup. I think it's just not on their regular schedule yet, so I think they forget about it. They have been there at least once. Okay. Anything else, Anne? Good. No? Okay. Nate?
Yeah, thanks. Just two things from me. First is to first thank everybody who had been involved with the Maryland House and Garden pilgrimage. I know Tracy, you mentioned that in terms of Maryland Municipal Cable, but there were 700 tickets sold, and I think over $30,000 raised for Noise Library.
I think it was 32,000.
32,000. So incredible effort. I talked to Kate DeWitt last night at the Sustainable Kensington meeting, and she said we were the third highest out of all of the tours, and the other two that I guess beat us, if that's how you want to say it, put these tours on every year, basically. So I mean, it was a huge effort, and I felt all of those people go through our house. Sarah and I had the privilege of being one of the homes in the gardens on the tour, and we felt like constant flow. The bus was stopping like every 20 minutes outside of our house, and 20 people, 30 people would get out. I don't know how many. My kids took advantage of it and had a lemonade stand like positioned right next to the bus stops. So they made some money, but they did commit to giving some of it to Noise Library. But anyway, it was really fantastic, and just to see the community out there, and people visiting our community, and the businesses getting visitors, and everyone was just, I felt like the town was glowing that day. So thanks and congratulations to the town staff who put it on, and in particular Kyle Richards, Kate DeWitt, Carrie Storer, Lisa Carney. I'm probably forgetting a couple of others that were really pivotal. So Tracy and others can fill in for me. But
Yeah.
they were what a lot of work they did. But it was worth it, I think.
Nate, if I can sprinkle in one more, just in preparation for that, what they did to Town Hall in all the pictures with explanations kind of the history of the town, the part that's down by the bathrooms and then it carries into the map room is it's just wonderful. I mean, that is something that we get left with. Like it's our door prize for being the host city. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a couple of the signs about our house and our tree, and I gathered that in some way we'll get something worked back to us that we'll be able to take away from that. But it was even just having that there and learning about our home and the town's history and other homes was just really something pretty special. So hopefully we'll be able to do it again sometime, maybe in a decade from now. I'm sure they need a bit of a break. But no, that was it.
Yeah, I don't think they're thinking.
Yeah, I don't think they want to do it anytime soon. Yeah, so the other update was just to note Sustainable Kensington. We got our Sustainable Maryland recertification application in. It was done by June 30th. On June 30th, the last day we could have possibly done it. We didn't wait till the very end. We were working on it up until that point, but it was in, and we may have some revisions, but I think what we requested for points was 110 points more than we got last time, I think, or 120 points. So we were requesting 275 points for bronze recertification, and the silver recertification, or the silver certification, is 400, and we're pretty confident next time we'll be able to get there. But a huge thanks goes to my neighbor Carolyn Morrissey, who really did the Herculean effort in getting everything submitted and organizing all the submissions and all the nitty-gritty details to enter it into the system, which requirements kind of changed as we were realizing we were entering this. So there's a lot of extra work that she had to do that not a lot of people saw, as well as Alex. I want to say that Alex was also there working with her all along, actually clicking the buttons to submit and do the follow-ups. So thank you to the two of them and to Sustainable Kensington for getting that in. We'll see how many revisions we have to do, but it's a good thing we got it in. And then we met last night to celebrate. Tracy was there. We had some cake and watermelon, and just kind of brainstormed a little bit, reflected on the year, and brainstormed on what are some of the priorities we want to focus on in the next year or so. And anything to add on that?
Well, I have to bring up the M&T lot again because one of the things that came up last night, Matt, we'll follow up and have a separate discussion with you about this. Tracy was present for this brainstorming, is to really think about that as ways that we can build green infrastructure into that parking lot. And I know we've talked about it a little bit before with some trees and plantings and a seating area. We've talked about EV charging. Then we started talking about bike parking and stormwater management. So we'd like to have a more holistic discussion with you all about that.
Thanks, Ann. Last quick thing, Matt. I noticed the Prospect and Summit sign is still not replaced. I see it every day. That's why I think I've got to ask you, but I keep forgetting. Are you able to, were you guys able to check that out yet?
Let me add that back to my notes.
Okay. It just looks odd. It's like a green sign with the white sign. If you can take a
While
look
you're
at that.
writing, Matt, on your notes, can you put back the backstop at St. Paul Park on the notes as well?
That is on the notes. That's just us not there yet. But that will get down. We actually received a request from the Juneteenth committee to leave it up.
Oh,
They wanted it for Juneteenth, so we held off. So it should be down later this summer.
thank you. Sorry, Nate. Didn't mean to interrupt your flow there.
No, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just gonna keep it short here. I do want to recognize Mark Hudson and McInerney Real Estate for again supporting and running the 4th of July bike parade. It was hot. We had less people, but we had enthusiastic people. And so, and Val Deal was there to play the music, and it was a great event, and a little shorter because most people just were ready to go back to where it was cool. But it was a very nice event. So I want to thank Mark for all his efforts in
Hey,
putting it on.
Tracy, I was not able to be there this year, and I'm dying to know, how did the ice cream freezer work out?
Well, we decided not to use it this year. Mark had already reached out to AJ and had invited
Mhm.
It in some ways it was probably better because it was so hot, and I'm not sure that freezer could have kept up with it being outside.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then we just didn't have the volunteers that could have passed them out. So that, but because we had a lot of popsicles left over, when we ended, we could take them all over to the ServPro building and put them into the freezer. So I don't know if Public Works has already gone through them all, but we were able to take what we had, purchased from AJ and had a place to put them. So it worked out really well having that freezer there. But it is something on, when a day is close to 100 degrees, I'm not sure a freezer outside would have been okay. So anyway, it went really well though. So if you see Jason, you could probably hit him up for a popsicle and he can get you one. So that's, and I want to just add on to the Maryland House and Garden Pilgrimage. Kate and Kyle and Carrie, they just did a phenomenal job. And I want to thank the residents who volunteered. They really came together towards the end and stepped up to the plate, and they really enjoyed themselves in doing it. And it was a funny story at Nate's house. I was one of the visitors there, and my little group, they all fell in love with your dining chairs. And they weren't talking about the house. They were talking about your chairs.
It's the only thing in our house that I actually picked out. So I could take, yeah.
So you should feel proud. Everybody just thought they were so cool.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, but even the people that just had their gardens, they just look beautiful. And everybody had a great time. And I was really surprised that Montgomery County, this is not an event that Montgomery County historic sites participate in. I think we're only the second one in all the years that's how I understand it from Kate. So they've written an article, they've already submitted it to Carrie Ann for the September issue about the event. So I hope everybody will take time to read it when you get your journal in August. So, but that reminds me, deadline is August 10th if you have something for the journal for the September issue, which will come out before the Labor Day parade. So, okay. All right, let's move on. I think unless somebody has any questions from the audience regarding any of these reports. I'm not seeing any hands, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the town manager and the staff.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to provide a quick update on the town hall renovation project. We are almost complete. The drywall team damaged one of our smoke detectors, which is what's holding up our final inspection. There's a little bit of a lead time for us to get the new smoke detector. It's a little bit older. We were told last Tuesday it was a 20-day lead time. So we're about 2 weeks out. Once we have that installed, we'll be able to have the final inspection and move back up. So that's what the delay is and why we're on Zoom this evening and not in the council room. So, and then the staff is making a request of the council to move the September council meeting, which is scheduled for September 9th to September 16th. The reason is Labor Day is scheduled 2 days prior to the September meeting. We're usually a little busy the week before and pretty tired after. So we would really appreciate if we could shift that 1 week. And I know Councilmember Lichter had noted a potential issue with the October council meeting, and the November council meeting is scheduled for Veterans Day, which is the town offices are closed. So we'd like to make a few adjustments for September, October, and November this evening.
So we are proposing the third Wednesday for September, the third Wednesday for October, and the third Wednesday for Veterans Day. And as far as I know, December 9th is fine. We can have a meeting with 3, but I always like to work hard to make sure everybody, we can adjust so everybody can come. So I'd like to make a decision on Labor Day, at least moving it to the 16th. We can follow up on the other dates, but if necessary, I don't know whether everybody can speak right now to those, to September, October, and November.
All of those dates work for me.
And it's the 16th of September, the October 21st, and November 18th?
Yes.
Okay. So far, it looks like it works. I might have to travel for work, but I will know later. But definitely the 16th of September should work.
Okay. So that's okay. Connor?
Same. That works. All 3 work for me at this moment. Yep.
And Anne?
Yes, with an asterisk on October 21st. I will have to follow up with you on that, but September and November work.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and plan on the 16, 21, and 18 at this point, so we can just update the calendars. If we have to move them around, we might end up on Zoom because the British Players has a big play coming up. So if we're moving them around to a different date, we may just have to meet on Zoom because they're in their or they're doing their tech week. So that would be the only, we'd just be prepared that the town hall may not be available to us on that night.
Sue Ellen, were all those dates okay with you as well?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. All right. So
Thank you, Council.
yeah, please update the calendar tomorrow to have those dates on there. Then. But if we have to adjust, we'll deal with it when we get to it. Okay. We have no ordinance, resolutions, and regulations. So the last thing on the agenda is public appearances.
I have one quick question. Since we agreed not to meet in August, this will be our last meeting before Labor Day. Is there anything we need to decide about heat or anything related to Labor Day like we usually discuss?
No, Matt did check in with Keller, who's doing the construction for the library. They feel like they can move the fence back so we can still have the grandstand in that location. So,
Oh, okay.
were we pulling electricity from noise?
No,
We-
we're okay. Yeah, we're okay on the grandstand. We have a generator. We should be okay. They, like I said, Keller Brothers can move the fencing and they're moving along. Oh, just for a quick update on that, I don't want to extend the meeting. They are installing the sewer line connection this week. You may have noticed that there's a road closure over there and a slight detour around the circle. That's what it's for. It's the sewer line connection. They did the storm drain connection last week.
Yeah, they're moving pretty quickly. They've been very impressed that they're moving along. You can see inside the window of the library that they've pretty much gutted the inside. So they're moving along.
Going back to Councilmember Ingalls' comment on Labor Day parade, are we of the mind that we're just going to continue with golf carts or as opposed to the convertibles?
I like the golf carts.
Yeah.
We're more golf cart people.
Okay, I assume, but I didn't know if we were making this a year-to-year decision or if that has been our shift, which I agree. I think it's more speed, pun intended.
Yeah. So golf carts. I know maybe we can find some ATVs, some gators. I know they're around somewhere.
Confiscate them.
Yeah.
Too soon.
I'm sure Connor probably ordered his candy already, but in case you haven't,
Oh.
Connor.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I gotta do that. Good call. I gotta make that happen.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I think we're good with that. If there's nothing else from the council, we'll move it down to public appearances. Opportunity to bring anything up that was not on the agenda. Let's see. Leslie, I see your hand first.
Okay. I just want to bring one thing up. St. Paul Park is so busy now, and when there's a big event over there and people are parking on Oberon, they park on both sides, and there is no way that an emergency vehicle can pass through. And I know when there was so much construction in that area, everybody was very careful so that vehicles were not parked opposite each other. Even the construction people were very conscious of that, so that even if a car had to weave through, at least it could get through. It's almost impossible to drive through. So I just want to throw that out and see if there can't be something done.
Are you talking about the part of Oberon from Wheatley up to St. Paul or the entire street?
No, it's mainly from Wheatley to St. Paul.
Okay, yeah, we've talked about making only one side, no parking, or making it one way. I think that was something that was being discussed when we were putting in a sidewalk. So whenever we get to that point.
Okay, but it's a hazard right now.
Okay.
And I know whatever happens with the sidewalk is not going to happen before the next event. So a quick fix would be just to put no parking on the side opposite Steve and Arlene's house, all the way down. There's only one house on one side of the faces Oberon between Wheatley and St. Paul.
Yes.
So allowing for them to park, if everything else was no parking on that same side, it would help a lot until other things could be made.
Okay, typically we would do that through the
Traffic.
MTC.
traffic committee.
Yeah.
Is that necessary, Matt? I know we've talked about this before.
We'll take a look at it probably this week. If we need to make a recommendation for a traffic order, we'll send it over to Councilmember Sparker for the MTC.
Well, I know there's a meeting coming up, not too much. So if more information is needed from the committee, we could probably, we could turn it around pretty quickly.
And Matt, I know you're aware of this, but obviously Alex Barron, their property also has their EV charger that so I think what I heard Leslie saying was allow for parking in front of their house and then no parking from that point west to St. Paul Street, but just for MTC's consideration that they are aware that that's currently how they charge their electric vehicle.
We'll review it and make a recommendation over to MTC and see if there's anything on the short term we can do. If not, there might be some regulatory things that we can do just on our end. So,
Well, we can certainly, now Labor Day is a different story because you're really not driving through there, but I mean, we could put no parking signs on one side of the road.
that stretch of Oberon is a lineup, so there's no cars allowed.
Yeah.
So we should be okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Leslie?
That's it for now.
Okay, thank you. Joe?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to give a tip of the hat to Councilmember Lichter for smoothly conducting the community forum, the Parking Task Force community forum the other night. She explained the scope of the task force work quite admirably, framed the issues very well, and solicited questions, of which there were several and several important ones. So again, a tip of the hat. I heard a couple of references this evening, looking for clarification about the staff memo to the council, which I think was mentioned by the town manager. There's also reference to the council packet. Where are these documents available? I presume they're public documents.
Yeah, I can provide them to you. Typically they're included with the public agenda. I sent it out a little late this time just because it was information that's already been provided in public documents. One is the appraisal of 3420 Pliers Mill Road. The other was a document that I made yesterday afternoon that showed the building envelope. If you send me an email, I'll be happy to send it to you.
Yeah, I noticed that typically such documentation is attached to the agenda. It wasn't so attached this evening or for this evening's event. Or meeting? What was the old appraisal of Joseph Park? What was that amount? Do you remember?
450,000.
450. Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, I think we don't have any other hands. I think we've discussed everything. So all I need is a motion to adjourn.
Move that we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much. All right, everybody, enjoy your recess. And I know I'll see you before then, but otherwise we'll see you Labor Day weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.